Let's do it.
Sounds great.
This is the Trade Show's Unhinged podcast, a podcast from the Facebook group You Know You Work in Trade Shows When. This podcast centers on trade shows, live events, and experiential marketing activations in today's world. Your hosts are Todd and Mike, who is the owner of Showbox Exhibits and the creator of the Facebook group You Know You Work in Trade Shows When, and Mike Morrison, Vice President of Sales for WS Display. The clock is ticking, so let's get busy and get to it, and we'll do just that after this.
Need a presenter? Your Event Audio has you covered. Closed-circuit audio equipment with turnkey operation at your trade show booth, live event, or private event. YourEventAudio.com is the place to go. DJ services, MC talent, and a whole lot more. Check out YourEventAudio.com today.
Well, I hope everybody is having a great September as we are now in the middle of the month. And actually here in Atlanta area, temperatures are beginning to drop a bit. That's a big change from last 2 weeks since I was out in Las Vegas. We'll talk more about that in a second. But this is our middle of the month edition of Trade Shows Unhinged. As you see there on the screen, Todd Nall, the owner of Showbox Exhibits from his Houston based studio and office, joins us now. I'm Mike Morrison, VP of Sales for WS Display in the Atlanta area. Speaking of the Atlanta area, we have a guest, as you can see, first one we've had on this show in our sixth or so episode, and that is a person I go back a ways with, all the way back to the Southeast chapter of EDPA installation and the embodiment of that. He is a local as well in the Atlanta area, and that's Dave Sterne, the owner of the Inside Track, that joins us today to talk about a lot of things.
Everybody else?
Yeah, it's great to have you on, and we're going to have some. It's good to have Todd, another voice on the panel to talk about challenges that we're facing in the trade show live event world. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. It's always good to have a new voice other than our two boring voices. Dave's got a lot of opinions, and I want to hear them.
I agree. And Dave and I had some sidebars earlier in the last couple of weeks about that. Of course, last time we saw each other was at the Get Out of the Gutter Invitational, if you will, the pro-like event that happened at the Bowlemore Lanes up in the northern portion of Atlanta for the EDPA fundraising festivities for the Randy Smith Memorial Golf Classic. We'll talk more about that as well in this show. But let's don't waste any time. Let's go to topics of discussion. And Dave had mentioned this in some pre-show notes back and forth as we all bantered on it a bit. And I agree with him. One of the top topics in our industry, live events, trade show, just about every facet of business these days, is the future workforce. I know it's a big, strong point in EDPA and other associations specifically. And I guess my point, especially in labor and senior leadership, those are two areas that I'm seeing a significant change in the future workforce in entering those perspectives. And it's an interesting anomaly as I think about it, because when discussing this as a new workforce comes into the play of the industry, Todd, do you think the old mindset of how we did things, quote unquote, air quotes, back in the day, does that go away, or do we keep some of that around? What are your thoughts?
I'm always up for change. I think the industry is getting younger. Well, I hope it's getting younger as we get older. But yeah, no, I really would like to see. I really would like to see some changes for sure coming up soon.
Dave, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and it depends what aspect we're talking about. When you say labor, are you talking show floor labor? Are we thinking, account managers, project managers inside an exhibit house? Because there's certainly a lot of skill sets that are relevant to both of those areas. Were you talking show floor labor, Mike? Or were you?
That's a good question. Well, it was recently, I know in Don and Mike, we talk about it, and I've seen a lot of the discussion about, let's take show floor labor for a second. If I'm not mistaken, the average age of the show floor worker over the past, let's say 5 years, during and post pandemic, is around the 55 quote unquote range, right? They're beginning to age out. Every time I go to a show floor, there's a significant amount of older workers who are out there on the floor. Now, your point about account management, project management, designers, detailers, all of that, I think that's a 50-50 split. I kind of see when I go in and visit a custom exhibit house, and you do the same thing. You go into places like Todd's place, and you go in and you talk about products. I kind of see a split down the middle. There is a lot of new blood coming in from the college range, as well as just from the general, the street, if you will, with common sense, knowledge, and experience, maybe carpentry, maybe welding, maybe those things coming into play in the shop. So that's kind of how I see a lot of the aging floor labor leaving, and we need to replace that with younger workers at maybe a faster clip than we are at custom exhibit houses. That's kind of what I was thinking.
I'm always thrilled when I see young people in the industry, no matter where they are. And when I say young, anybody younger than me. So that gives you a big spread. But on the show floor, it's terrific to see people that really are into the labor scene. It's physical work. They enjoy it. And the adage, I'm getting paid to work out, and they're getting paid pretty well. So the areas to pull from on the show floor, of course, has been the film and set work, which we see a lot, and also some different industries. I know that Texas, a lot of those workers are firemen and people in EMS services that really do a great job saving lives and are very active people. And of course, in those industries, you're on for 3 days, off for 4, or vice versa. So you've got several days where you don't want to sit around, and this is just a great opportunity to make some good money while you're waiting to go back to the firehouse. So it's always great to see the young people happening on the show floor in those situations.
You know what I noticed? I saw a trend, and I noticed a trend before COVID of younger people coming into the industry, either on the show floor or maybe in the offices of the trade show companies. But after that, they left. The younger group has left, and I think it's still just an older generation on the show floor. And I think those younger people have found other industries, and I think we lost some momentum 4 years ago. And I'm hiring, but everyone that I'm talking to is 40 plus, 50 plus. Which is great experience, but it's sad that there isn't any younger interest, in this industry.
Do you think that I've heard this phrase, especially at the advocacy level, it's kind of like the multi-billion-dollar industry that nobody knows anything about. So that's right. Our challenge, right, is to try to get that message. And there's associations out there across the board who are out there pushing it in Washington, D.C., in the school systems, in the education realm, and other areas, just to try to get that push of people back. Because, you and I were off mic talking a minute ago, and, you were busier than a one-legged man in a tail kicking contest on our most recent show. And you find out that maybe you're short with people, and you're possibly even overworking people. And that's a danger as well. We don't want to see that happen. A lot of people can't argue overtime, but it's still bad on the body. I know it is on mine, but it's a little tough out there. So the future workforce is still this ongoing subject that gets talked about. And it's, I don't think anybody, Dave, knows the secret bullet of what it's going to take to get it there. But I think if we don't try, we certainly are not going to advance the cause, right?
And you brought up a good point. Wouldn't it be great if our introduction to the trade show industry was bring them to a trade show, bring them to a fun trade show, have a sizzle reel where they could see what happens at SEMA or some of these exciting trade shows, when you get an intro to the industry, usually it's an exhibit house. You see people doing design. You see a shop. If we could just go the reverse side and let them see the excitement, let them see all the young people, let them see the marketing, let them see the lights, the pizzazz. I mean, all the cool stuff that happens on a really active show floor, and start with that excitement. And then, of course, it comes back to the work that we all put in the office, in the shop. But it really is such an exciting industry. And I'm with you guys. What the EDPA is doing is fantastic in terms of finding people, getting them involved in the industry. And, my job, if I'm doing it the way I'm supposed to, I'm at between 4 and 6 exhibit houses every other week. And yeah, when I'm doing that, I am meeting a lot of younger people, late 20s, early 30s, I'm guessing. And it's always nice to see the same people when I'm there 4 or 5 months later. Or sometimes I'll see them and it's at a different exhibit house 4 or 5 months later. But the point is, once
They're
they
still in the industry,
right, they get a taste of it. And I'm curious what your thoughts are, because some people say, well, if they're in the industry 6 months, they're a lifer. And then I have other people that tell me, Dave, we like to see how somebody does 14, 16, 18 months. That way they can see a complete cycle of the shows. They can follow a client for a year. They can really get a taste for it. And of course, by then they've been on show site, they've been to a different city, and they've experienced what happens on the show floor. But gosh, I've come across so many talented people, so many smart people that they get it. They understand. Yeah, my phone's going to ring after 5 o'clock. That's fine. Yeah, I'll get on a plane and I'll go to a city. And as much as I want to explore Boston, I'm actually going to be in the convention center from, 8 to 5 every day, and grab a quick dinner, go back to the hotel and do it again the next morning. Mm-hmm. So I think our industry has done a really good job explaining the reality of what we do. And that's really important. You don't want to do a bait and switch. So, but once they get a taste of it, it's great to see them. And, if you look on LinkedIn, you'll see people that have been in the industry starting in maybe late 21 or early 22 that are still here and still at the same exhibit house. So again, that's something promising that I'm experiencing.
That what you just said about that run, you go to Boston and you go 8 to 5 or whatever, and they go to dinner. I just did that. It wasn't Boston, it was Las Vegas. And I did it for 11 days, 10 nights. And I'll be honest with you, at 61 years old, it's more of a sentence now than it was a trip, because I'm in that group of attritioning out. Sooner or later in the next few years, I'll be moving out. But I thought it was interesting for several reasons. Number one, back to the future workforce for a second, I saw a significant number of young people across the board, both exhibitors, attendees, workers in setup and dismantle. It was, workers in the parking areas, working the LVCC across the board. So it was pretty amazing to see that mix going on. So that was impressive. I will say this, Vegas, staying on that note for a second, is a mess right now. And Todd, you laugh because you know what's coming up in a month or so, or a little more than a month, and that's the F1 race. So all the streets around the strip are ripped up. There's water lines that are torn up. They're out there working on that. The Tropicana is about to implode. So there's a whole section right in there that's all marked off and getting ready to take all that down. And just a significant amount of the mining show. That was the other one that's about to open. So you can imagine how much huge equipment was being drug in and taking up space at the LVCC, which was a total mess and a catastrophe. Now, could be just the time of the year, could be a bunch of things going on. But Las Vegas, used to be a desire, and now it's a pain. What do you think?
You asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Well, when you go 3 or 4 times a month, it just becomes work at this point. But you know what? I'm not complaining about Vegas because they really do, they keep this industry alive. They really do. I think F1's a good thing. I wish that F1 would have built a designated track outside of town. Although night racing in the desert in the city is very cool. And it was one of the best races. But yeah, you have to deal with that. You have to deal with all the traffic and everything that they're doing. And I would imagine year by year they're going to get better at traffic flow and figuring it out. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in Vegas for the next 5 weeks, so get used to it.
These little short trips.
Are you driving in the F1 this year, Todd?
I am not. No, I lost my seat.
Wishful thinking, but it's okay. Well, we got to dream.
We know you like your cars, and that's a good thing. We know you like your cars.
How many times, Dave, do you go to Vegas in a year?
It could be a solid 4 based on the size of the show. We'll be out there at NACS. We have a lot going on out there, so I want to be on site. I want to, even though we inspect everything in our production facility before it ships, by the time you're on show site, you find out something that, might not have been communicated to you. Wait, I'm sorry, that never happens. We know exactly what's going on. But anyway, I like to be with my clients. I like to see them. I really do. That's really a part of our industry, is the joy of seeing your clients in that work environment, and you're working alongside of them. And you know how it is. Sometimes you're pitching in to help solve something you had nothing to do with, but you're there and your clients are, just need another pair of hands or need some help. So it's just nice to be with them. So NACS is a big show for us. And of course, CES and a lot of other things that are in Vegas, NBAA. So it's great to see everybody. Personally, I think one of the keys to keeping your sanity in Vegas is staying off the strip. I mean, just put me at a non-casino hotel and let me go back and relax after a good 12, 14-hour day on the show floor. Is that the same with you guys? Do you have places you like to stay when you're there?
I stay at the Resorts World quite a bit because it's such, it's close. It's a Hilton property. But if I can afford the distance, I definitely like to stay off the strip because it just seems it's a completely different city off the strip.
I stayed on the top floor of the Sahara, so it was like VIP at Walmart. But what I did experience was I was up $700 when I left, so I did enjoy the casino aspect. But I play sporadically. I'm not like the gambler who goes down there and spends all of his time there. I hit a machine, I go, I bounce. I'm like a Spalding basketball in the casino, and security hates it, but I love it. So I'm all over the place, and I did bring back 7 of those Benjamins to my home. So I do appreciate them supporting the cause of that charity of mine, which is me. So we are in an industry which allows us to go to Vegas and come back with more money. Exactly.
Exactly. If we do it right.
It doesn't happen every time. It doesn't.
If we do it right.
We do it right. Next year, Printing United is in Orlando, so now we go from a 1-armed bandit to 2 rats and a duck. So we'll see what happens there.
Isn't it interesting when a hotel, wants you to come stay at their property? They want you to stay for free every night, and then they want to give you $200 or $300 in food vouchers. You're like, wow, I must be a public spender. And then you think about it, like, no, wait a second, I just lose a lot. That's why they want me to come back. That's what
they love losers.
Sure they do.
And here's the lonesome loser right here. So let's wrap up the first half with this topic. I found this interesting. Publication was promoting, organization promoted that second quarter in the trade show industry was slightly down, had a slowdown. Now that's interesting as a report goes. I wonder if we're going back, Dave, to the up and down methodology of first and third quarters are up, second and fourth quarters are dipping down. We go to a sine wave type thing. But then I talked to Todd, and Todd is like, blitzing, major account shows, and he's more business than he can stand for some people. So is that an anomaly, or do you think it's kind of leveling out some?
Well, we're always looking year over year to see what we did that month, that quarter. And, for 27 years, it's been the same for us. The first week of August, God, it's slow. The second week of August, geez, it's still kind of slow. You can't help it, worry about it. And then, of course, the third week of August, you're like, please make it stop. And those orders come in and yesterday, which is fine. So we've had a really good year so far. And, that's not just from a a company owner saying, yeah, we're having a great year. I mean, our numbers are very consistent, but more importantly for the industry is the booth sizes are consistent. You know, the 80 by 80 from last year is not a 20 by 20 this year. So we're seeing a lot of consistency with the booth sizes. We're seeing a lot of new players at some of these larger shows, which is also very positive for the industry. So those are the type of things that we look at. And, you know, when you, one thing we all learn in this industry, when you put your eggs in one basket, it's a little nerve wracking. So I think, and I have seen a lot of companies that all of a sudden they get an industry that they're usually not in. You know them as, and I'm talking to exhibit houses, right? You know, medical, and then they get a construction project, or they're heavy in food and beverage, and they get something for aerospace. So I do like to see the diversity in our client base. I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had a good year. You know, the ups and downs, I think it depends on if somebody pulls out of a show that you've always done. When that does happen, it's happened to all of us, that can really have an impact. So it just, you know, the twists and turns of the industry is just a great motivator to make sure.
That's a very good point. I mean, how we look at shows differently. Dave is looking at square footage. You know, of course, that's his business, and I love that. I don't always look at it that way, but that's a very good point. The 80 by 80 last year is 80 by 80 this year. That's a good thing. You know, you love it when either clients, you know, go up in size or stay the same. That's always a good trend. So good point.
Metrics are huge. It's a great way to measure yourself. Also, the quantity of counts that are acquired is another way. I know Houston is that market there is that way, where you're bringing in, of course, you were talking, we were off mic talking about Gas Tech just happening there in Vegas, and the amount of business that everyone had, but you had a pretty good tally of clients, and that makes for a great going into fourth quarter, right?
Yeah, Gas Tech here in Houston, it was a shot in the arm for the oil industry, because that industry seems to be kind of flat right now. And, you know, we get that injection every 5 years when Gas Tech comes back to the States. But yeah, we're looking at what other industries are really what we focus on, because gas is king here in Houston.
You're going to get that anyway. So tell you what, at this point in the show, we're going to take a quick break, have a commercial or two, and then we'll come back and wrap things up for this one on Trade Shows Unhinged. It comes back right after this.
From light boxes, towers, counters, and back walls to turnkey custom exhibits, WS Display is your partner in providing quality displays at extremely aggressive pricing to fit any reseller's budget. Make more profit by teaming up with WS. With a team of experts to assist with estimates, renderings, and CAD, to fulfillment, setup, and test fitting, quality photo proofs, and complete project handling from our East Coast, West Coast, and Pacific fulfillment facilities. We can be your partner today. Hit me up at mike@wsdisplay.com for more information. Showbox Exhibits, headquartered in Houston, Texas, where they specialize in design, fabrication, and management of your trade show displays. At Showbox, the difference starts with listening to fully understand the unique brand story that's needed. Then they create an innovative, compelling concept that reflects specific event objectives. From static trade show displays to fully custom oversized exhibits featuring multimedia graphics, Showbox brings your company's message to the masses. Showbox is a trade show, convention, and environment design agency that is full service from start to finish. They're based in Houston, Texas, but they serve worldwide. They've been creating exhibits for over 20 years. Showbox Exhibits at showboxexhibits.com.
What a great discussion about several topics that help us out here in kind of broadening our horizons with the trade show live event industry. And now we're going to go one more deeper topic that we were just off mic chatting about. And I kind of thought about this because I know at WS, I'll go first. Differentiation in product offering is a huge thing for us. It's not that we go way out in left field or way out in right field to try to find new products, but when you can go find some new SKUs that kind of complement what you're doing already from a supply side. You kind of go out there and explore it a little bit, hit the market with it, see how it bounces back, and see what the interest is, especially if you're cost and price aggressive, which we are. So that's been successful for us. So my point, I'll start with Todd, is your differentiation of services and products from Showbox. Has that changed for you in some way, shape, or form, in any way at all? Or are you just kind of sticking to what works right now?
Oh, no, we definitely have made changes since COVID in business model and in offerings. We have moved heavy into SEG fabrics and frames, very streamlined rental program. So once we decided that we were going to focus on quality rentals, creative looking rentals, that has really helped our business. Also, we do in-house printing now, and we didn't realize how important that was going to be until we actually offered it. And it's been amazing printing in-house for us. But we do have a lot of partners that are out there in the industry that don't necessarily build exhibits, and so we work well with clients that have acquired trade show exhibit clients, design trade shows exhibits for them, but don't have a way to build them. And then, so that's where we come in. We do a lot of white glove building for industries that we never really would have gone after in the first place. So we're into tech heavy now, medical, paint. There's a lot of industries that we have been afforded the I guess the luxury of getting into because of these agencies have these contacts. So that's been what we've been doing for the past few years.
I had a white glove once, and then I got in the trade show industry, and then that was that.
Only
Dave,
one white glove, Michael?
Well, only one. It was the Michael Jackson effect. I just kind of went around with that, and then tripped over, fell down, and hurt myself.
You had a sick moonwalk for a while, though. We've seen that. You had a sick moonwalk. It was good.
You're supposed to keep that confidential. That was not for public notice out there, Dave.
So we've added some things to see how they would work. So we had a furniture division for a while, a rental furniture division, and it's interesting. Clients loved it because it was different. We would skid everything and ship it to the advanced warehouse, so the furniture was there at the booth when the flooring got there, and they loved it because there was no downtime. You're not sitting around waiting for that furniture to be delivered. In any event, we built it up to, it was probably about a $500,000 in rental inventory. And then, 2020 happened, and we've got all this furniture that was, sitting around collecting dust. So we sold it, and people could buy any color they wanted as long as it was white or black, right? This is the trade show industry. Matter of fact, here in Georgia, bowling alleys and barbershops were open, and car dealerships, of course. So we sold the black furniture to businesses, and the white furniture, everybody had an Airbnb they were trying to furnish. So, our furniture ended up in, Florida, North Carolina, or some other place where you want some white furniture for a beach house. In any event, we don't miss the furniture division. And, as a company, we look at different things we can do for, additional income that's not too far off from our business model. We have looked at labor over the years. We probably have, 3 discussions a year internally about a big project to provide labor for. And we do offer labor when we control the whole project. Like we do a very large show every year in Houston, as a matter of fact. And we bring in a crew of about 22 people to do the labor on that. But we control everything. So it's very easy. We work, a couple of 12-hour shifts, and it works out great. For a standard trade show, when they want another company to come in and provide the labor other than the company building the booth, even though there are some people out there that do a great job on flooring, sometimes you get into the finger pointing. Why was this electrical not checked, and things of that nature? So, we do lose opportunities sometimes because we don't offer labor, but the downside is so much greater because you have, changes that happen, before the labor crew gets there that can cause issues. We feel the same company that builds the booth should install the flooring. You have so much more consistency. And the people that want flooring installed, I mean, they say, well, our labor crew that builds the exhibit isn't that good with flooring. Flooring is not that complicated. Our layouts are so precise and so detailed. It's so simple to put down that if the company's capable enough to build the exhibit, they should be capable enough to put down our flooring. So we look at that, and we just haven't pursued it because it's not specialized enough. The other thing is when people said, well, we'd like you to install the flooring. Well, let me ask you this. If we have 7 people scheduled for 8 a.m. and the night before you tell us, hey, you know what? We don't need the guys till 1. Are you going to be paying for that 7 guys we have at 8 a.m.? Well, no, we just expect you to put that on your other projects and then come back at 1 when we need you. And you guys know specialized and skilled labor doesn't work like that. So, we've looked at things. As business owners, something I think that many of us are, and entrepreneurs, we're guilty of this phrase that I've heard called, ready, fire, aim. So we try to stay away from that. We really think things out, and people come up to us and approach us for things they think would be a good addition to the flooring and that we provide. And we look at them, but it takes a lot to really add something to our offering. So right now we're still, one of the leaders when it comes to custom printed flooring, inlays, carpet, vinyl, raised flooring, and things of that nature. So we're sticking to our knitting for now, and it's really been successful. And we mentioned the pandemic, and Mike, I'm 61 like you, but you must have done something right, because when I look at my retirement, it's only 27 more years. So I'll be here for a while.
I just can't. My body can't hold out that long. So
That would make him 98.
Wow. So
you want to see a cool scooter on the show floor? Don't worry, mine will have a cooler in the back, and
mine will have the ambulance siren on top. That's all he be around. Hey, good discussions today on this special edition of Trade Shows Unhinged. I want to finish up with a promotion of next week. The Randy Smith Memorial Golf Classic takes place on Thursday, the 26th of September at Chateau Alon. Shameless plug, the Todd and Mike show will be doing a live stream, not a recording, but an actual live stream, so that if you're not there and you'd like to see what's going on at Chateau Alon with interviews with the recipients and the people that put that event on, it's from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. On YouTube. So watch social media for a link for that. We're really excited. I know, Dave, you and I participate in that every year, and we want to get more people involved, but it's a sellout of golf this year. There's no more spots left. So now you can only come for dinner and watch the recipients get their recognition and receipt of help and assistance, which is the only organization that I know of, Dave, that does that in an industry where we've given so much back to so many people. I think it's something to be proud of.
And for so many years. As a matter of fact, Mike, I just want to say that's not a shameless plug. That's actually a public service announcement for our industry. You can't go to the Randy Smith and not get choked up. I don't care how tough you think you are as a person. When you see those pictures and you hear the stories, I mean, you get choked up. I know I do every single year, and you want to do as much as you can. So it's if you're looking for an industry that really cares about their own, we put our money where our mouth is when it comes to that. So I applaud you and Don, and of course, Rich and Jim and Sandra and all the other people that, I mean, it's a year-long process, and they do it every single year. They're exhausted at the end, and they come back and get right on it for the next year. So it really means a lot to myself. Todd, I can speak for you probably, and all the other people in the industry, man. Just keep on doing it. It means a lot to everybody.
Appreciate that. And I do want to say, I actually want to give Todd last word of this one, because we kind of we dominated that a little bit. But is there anything you'd like to throw in there before we wrap this up?
No, I'm good. Just I got to get back to work.
this is Wednesday before the Friday show, and I can certainly respect that because I'm in the same way. I'm late for a call right now. Gotta go. I'll see you on the next one. Trade Shows Unhinged coming at you in 2 weeks.
Hey everybody, Mike Morrison here. Hope you're having a good week. It's Friday here in Las Vegas. Getting ready to catch a flight and head back to Atlanta, where today is my wife's birthday, and I'm stuck out here. She's at the beach though, so she's probably loving life. Anyway, as you can see over my shoulder, being here at Exhibit City News and the old Don and Mike show recording studio. Sign's still up, room is still there, and hopefully we'll be able to start doing more things in there in the future. But I just want to take a second and mention, the Randy Smith Memorial Golf Classic that's coming up just in a couple of weeks from now. We're dropping the news on this, that what we're doing is streaming that event for 1 hour from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on that day, September 26th at Chateau Alon. So Don and I will be there. We will be doing a live stream, not just a recording, even though the recording of that live stream will be disseminated after the event. But if you're not coming to Atlanta for that event and you just like to check out some of the interviews that we'll be doing with Rich Johnson, Jim Worm, Sandra Braun, some of the people that are over a 30-year period have helped conduct that event and raise many, many dollars towards our industry and for people who've had setbacks and just atrocities happen and are set back in financial ways as well as emotional ways. We want to let everyone be a part of that. And the best way we can do that is to stream that 1 hour before the event starts. So September 26th, we're going to have a link. It's going to drop right here during this announcement down at the bottom. So you can click that link and watch the live stream coming up for the Randy Smith Memorial Golf Classic from the Don and Mike Show.